Jared.
How you doing, Jared? I'm Chaim.
Hi, nice to meet you.
We've known each other for a long time. Don't lie to the camera.
I won't lie to the camera. So Chaim, tell me about yourself. You're the owner of Rami's here? We're at Rami's, by the way. It's what's the address here?
The address here is 324 Harvard Street.
That's right.
It's in Brooklyn, Coolidge Corner. And yeah, I am the son of the owner of Rami's. I have been managing for the past 6 years. What is Rami's exactly? Rami's is a kosher Middle Eastern style cuisine.
Sure.
And we are from Israel, so that's the style that it is. It's Israeli style. And we serve up a kosher, how would I say it? Kosher cuisine.
Kosher cuisine. That's a good example.
Of falafel, shawarma, different varieties of chicken. Hummus is a specialty of ours. We cook up chicken about 3 or 4 times a day.
Tell me about you. Tell me about, so you came from Israel to the U.S. when you were young?
Yeah, but I came when I was 9 months old.
You were 9 months old.
I came when I was just a baby.
So you don't remember it that much.
So I have the mentality of American, but still.
You go back to Israel though
Also
sometimes. You go back and
I go back every year about once or twice a year.
what do you see is the cultural difference from business in Israel, such as a kosher restaurant like Rami's, to something similar in Israel? What's the similar?
No, don't worry.
What's the similarities? If you were to compare Rami's to another kosher restaurant in Israel
Of the same style?
of the same style, how would the culture different? How would the people different? How would the language different? What's the barrier?
Why did this just go?
I don't
Sorry,
know.
we're figuring stuff out every day. Don't put that on the video.
I'll be on the bloopers, I promise.
So, well, listen, when I go to Israel, I'm actually shocked when I go to falafel places. They're very, very different from the falafel places here that I have here.
Why? Why are they different?
I'll explain to you. When you go into a falafel place in Israel, they'll give you the sandwich, they'll put the falafel balls inside, they'll put the hummus inside, but all the salads are for you guys to choose. And you guys can choose that, and you guys can add your own French fries, and it's really nice. It's a nice way, but in America we do it a little bit differently. I feel like if people here, if we gave them their salad bar, let them do it themselves, it will be a mess. It will be a disaster.
So Americans are messy. Stereotype.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying like they want a lot more. You know what I mean?
Okay.
They go a lot more for the free stuff.
I got you.
You know? But here we serve the fresh vegetables inside. We give it to them as much as a person needs to eat. You know?
Sure.
Again, the differences though are that Rami's is very authentic.
How so?
In the sense that we use the same spices. Our falafel is pretty much the same. Everybody's falafel is different. Egyptian falafel is very different from Israeli falafel. If you open up a falafel, most falafels that you look at are green inside. I don't know if you have you, Jerry?
Not too often, no.
That's because they add different spices or maybe some more parsley in it. We have a family tradition and we've been keeping it this way. We used to have a restaurant actually in Bus Street in Jerusalem.
Okay, so the family business
tradition.
started in Israel. Your business started in Israel. The culture started in Israel. And your father moved that business to the U.S.
And my father moved into the U.S. and opened Rami's to actually save the family from bankruptcy 20 years ago.
So what would you say are the constraints from Israel, your home country, to the U.S.?
What constraints?
Such as availability of food, such as when in Israel, I'm sure that it's a lot easier to get kosher food than it is to get to here. You'd probably get it shipped from New York.
You'll be surprised. Let's put it that way, you'll be surprised. The last time I was in Israel, I got a shawarma sandwich. I remember I paid for it about $9.
Okay.
$9 for a falafel sandwich. Here I serve a falafel sandwich, a little bit pricier, $10.95. But you're in America. I figured if I was going to Israel to get kosher meat in Israel would be that much cheaper. But it's really not. It really isn't. It's as far as meat goes, the prices are almost the same.
Almost the same. What do you think about business culture? Just pretend you were a manager, the owner of one of these same kosher cuisine restaurants in Israel, in Jerusalem. What would be different from owning one there to owning one right here, where you do right here?
Well, there's nothing to say. Over there, you can get the pizza fresh every day. as opposed to I get it frozen from Israel. It's still shipped from Israel. The pizzas are actually shipped from Israel because they use the best pizzas. It's from a place called Angel Bakery in Yerushalayim, and they ship it to me twice a week, frozen, Jared. But over there, oh man, I remember eating with my father one day, and we were eating hummus, and my father said, look outside. It was the guy coming on his bicycle, pushing a cart full of pizzas. And what he did was he took all the old pizzas that they used from the day before, took it with him, and gave them a new batch of pizzas. It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. To be involved in a business like this and have pizzas coming hot and fresh to you by bicycle, it's just unbelievable.
That'd be funny.
And also the mentality is different. The mentality is completely different over there. The hummus is different over there. The way people eat the hummus is different over there. There's so many ways to do hummus. There's thousands of ways to do hummus. Here, I do it traditionally.
Your family style or traditional?
Family style.
American style?
I do it, no. I do it tradition by the family. In Israel, you can get it that they add meat inside and they put, how do you say, food, lava beans.
Maybe, yeah.
But here it's tradition.
What would you think the change is in your experiences from going to Israel to going to the U.S.? Anything you've learned from going to shops, to restaurants like these, to transferring any of your ideas that you see in Israel to a shop like this here? What do you see in Israel that you would change? If you see in Israel, you're going to change
it's a good
your
question.
business. What would you change?
It's a really good question.
If I could,
first of all, most of the places in Israel, my place Rami's, it's small. We have about 26 seats here. In Israel, you can go into a falafel shop or a falafel stand, and there will be about maybe 3 or 4 seats in there, but there's a line out the door. Well, why is that? In Israel, you can go into a shawarma place, and the shawarma is maybe 100 to 120 pounds, as opposed to the 40 to 60 pounds I would put here, 60 on a good day. You would have maybe 2 or 3 different kinds of shawarma in Israel, as opposed to here, I have just one kind. I have turkey shawarma. The fries go inside the pizza over there, standard.
Yep.
Over here, I charge money for
Absolutely. I was in Israel. It's the same thing. I didn't understand why the fries went in the pizza, but then I understood it was the culture.
It's the culture. It's the way people eat.
How would you define the culture to Israel, to the culture of the U.S.? How would you define Israel's culture compared to the U.S.? What makes Israel so different than us?
In what way?
In any way that you think of, and whether it's food, whether it's people you see on the street.
It's a totally different mentality now.
How so? What?
It's a totally different mentality. Let's start, I don't know, if you're talking about the party life, people only leave at 2 o'clock in the morning to party, 1 in the morning to party. Here, you're back home by 1 or 2,
yeah.
Right? People go out to eat very late there. Like in New York, people go out to eat at 10 o'clock. In Boston, at 10 o'clock, my doors are closed.
Yeah. You think?
What else can I tell you?
Well, what do you think about your business in the future? For future cultural differences or future... What do you see for the future of your business here at Rami's? What do you see?
Well, there's always room for expanding. There's always room for adding. There's always ideas running in our minds.
So would you say you added culture from your experience just going to Israel, to the U.S.?
Every time I go to Israel,
yep.
I add something new to the restaurant.
Okay.
Last year,
Go.
Last year I came back with a shawarma machine, electric machine that cuts the shawarma. I never used it. I'd rather take the knife and it looks more harmonic if I play the shawarma,
yeah,
you know?
You hear the musical sounds while you do it,
exactly.
Right?
But also last time, this is one of the most important changes that we've ever made to Rami's, and it happened on the last trip I had, last October I was there. Israel, in a falafel place in Israel, they store their pita in a cooler. In a cooler without ice. So, they would put the hot pitas inside this foam cooler, and what it would do is it would make all the steam and the heat not be able to escape. So, as a result, the pizzas are all humid and they stay hot. And when you touch them, they feel like a pillow. And I just learned about this last time when I went to Israel. I saw they have these boxes. I said, wow, that's an amazing idea. So now what I did was, I went to CVS. I got a couple of those bon cours. I have two changing up all the time. When the pizza runs out in this one's being filled. And it's always being filled, and the pizza's always soft like pillow.
Gotcha. Interesting. All right, well, thank you, Chaim, for your time. I appreciate it. And,
Yeah, man.
It was fun.
I wish you luck, and you're a great guy.
Thank you.
Take care.
Take care. Let's see how it came out.